Hello again. It's time to look at the Saturday's front pages. Joining me this morning, journalist Thomas Copeland and broadcaster Badisha. There they are. Hello again to you both. So, Badisha, let's start with you. We were just talking about jabs for 5 to 11-year-olds, and contextually, it comes at a time when COVID has hit an all-time high in terms of the number of people who've got this disease.
Absolutely, and I completely hear the way you begin this item with a world-weary so, because of course it's human nature to want to be absolutely out of it. We are in year 3 of the pandemic, and these figures are really very stark. So 1 in 13 people currently has COVID in the UK. That's over 5 million. And this is, of course, as you mentioned, on the same week as the government are stopping all free testing. And of course, experts, medics, physicians, epidemiologists are saying to the government, please bring back free testing. Otherwise, we can't get a hold of mapping this virus, even though everyone wants it to be over. The virus has other ideas and doesn't care about public opinion, unfortunately. This seems to be the Omicron variant, BA2, and if the UK follows the way it's gone in other countries with this particular variant, it'll be a sharp rise and a sharp fall. Now, we do have to be aware that hospitalizations and deaths are also rising, but not as steeply as the number of new infections. We have been hugely protected by the vaccinations and the boosters. The UK has been very good at rolling that out, but the fear is the increasing amount of research that's being done into long COVID. I don't know about you, but I've got lots and lots of colleagues who got it in journalistic and diplomatic circles 2 years ago. And 2 years later, they're still suffering with symptoms. And that's the horror. I think that's the fear for people, not the 10-day illness at the beginning. It's that long, long tail of symptoms which are really under-researched at the moment.
Thomas, what do you think about this? Do you think that we're at a stage now where we just have to get on and live with the disease?
Well, no is the answer to that, I suppose. I think the government is making the wrong move by removing free testing. I understand why they're doing it. They're as keen as possible to stop talking about COVID. And in some ways, there's good reasons to do that. It is the case that we need to manage the way we need to live our lives with COVID. But living with COVID isn't the same as removing any of the protections or precautions that we have in place in order to protect ourselves against COVID. And the likes of free testing is one of those things. The government's keen to stop talking about it. Similarly, when it comes to the jabs for 5 to 11-year-olds that are being rolled out, they're available from today, being rolled out from Monday, available to up to 5 million 5 to 11-year-olds in the UK. Government's been very quiet about that as well, likely because they want to avoid the kind of protracted back and forth that happened in the newspaper and the media over those JCVI decisions in the past. So they're pushing it down really to parental choice and encouraging parents, if they want to take up those opportunities. The reality is, of course, for a lot of parents, COVID-19 is clearly much less risky for children of that age, 5 to 11 years old. But long COVID, Badisha just said it there, it is really key for a lot of parents, and something a lot of parents worry about. You hear sort of horror stories of the news of young children who maybe before the pandemic were deeply athletic and now have long-running problems with breathing and this kind of stuff that run into the future, and that's a major concern for parents. And of course, the other problem is that it will continue to have an impact on the economy as well, on a variety of other ways in which we attempt to live our lives. So this idea of living with COVID is not opposite to let's just all forget about COVID. If in order to live with COVID, you need to ensure that some of these precautions are in place. The government will at some stage need to end free testing. They will at some stage need to end, for example, obligations to isolation. Is now the right time to do that? I'm not quite sure, but it'll be in the short to medium term rather than the long term in any case.
And £5 a pop is expensive, isn't it, for a lateral flow test? Some people just won't have that kind of cash. Let's move on to the Daily Express. Badisha, what are they saying about Prince Andrew?
Right, so there's been a bit of a leaky palace in recent weeks. I'm not quite sure who's leading with all of this speculation, but as we know, Prince Andrew recently settled a sexual assault case to the tune of £12 million in order to avoid a trial. And yet, at Prince Philip's memorial, he was right beside his mother, the Queen's side. He was walking her to her seat. Now, we know that, according to royal rumour, other members of the royal family, such as Prince William and Prince Charles, were very dismayed to see this. And there are further rumours, according to this article, that Prince Andrew will once again be front and centre at the upcoming Platinum Jubilee celebrations to celebrate the Queen's 70-year reign, which is pretty massive achievement. Now, Prince Andrew, as a result of this ignominy, this disgrace, I don't think I'm misspeaking by saying that, has been stripped of all his royal privileges, his military affiliations, and all of his patronages, but he hasn't been excommunicated from his birth family or his blood family. However, I do think it's interesting that this story makes the front page of the newspapers, because clearly there is a lot of consternation amongst the palace as to the kinds of messages this is sending. I don't think there's any doubt about the level of controversy this has stirred up. And if you look at the optics of who has been ejected or feels not welcome in the royal family and who does feel welcome and who is symbolically brought by the Queen's side, it's a little bit disturbing at that level.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, Thomas and Vidisha. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next hour. Still to come on Breakfast, we'll bring you the latest from Ukraine, as the Red Cross says they'll try again today to rescue civilians trapped in the besieged city of Mariupol.